Hello, welcome back to Save Your Bacon, an advice comedy podcast where we think we're helping. My name is Will.
My name is Zane, and just to show you how much we really care, you guys, we have paper master degrees in therapy taped loosely to our walls, and they're a little bit stapled now. It's just to show you that we're both professional and self-sufficient.
We moved from the hearth. We moved from the hearth back to the recording studio to give our show to you folks out there because the formality was kind of gone. We enjoy having friends, but it's better just to keep it strictly, professional in the way that we think it should be.
When we were at the hearth, by the way, when we were at the hearth, people would come up and we'd say, "Are you ready to hear the podcast?" And they just say, "We just kind of want to chill in silence by the hearth, if that's cool with you guys."
Yeah, we thought there'd be appetizers. And Zane and I didn't make food. We didn't plan on having, 38 of you.
But, it's like, I don't mean to sound hearth, but like, you came here to listen to the podcast, so.
You didn't know what a hearth was a week ago. You aren't allowed to use that. Okay. Hey, Zane, I have a question for you.
Tell it to me.
This isn't an actual advice question. It's more just a thinker because it's not real advice. This one comes once again from Jake Edwards. Thank you, Jake Edwards, for sending in this not advice. But he was curious. He's been hearing a lot about the idea of asking whether cereal is soup. But then he wanted to go a step farther and ask, then does making a bunch of cereal put together in a bowl make chili?
Oh my god, that's complicated though. How much variety of cereal are we talking? Are we talking...
how many beans do you put in a chili?
Well, okay. Beans, if we're talking this...
Chili.
If we're talking just generic brand ingredient comparison here, then anything that's oat related is probably the rice.
Can you name 5 ingredients in a regular chili?
In a regular chili? It's gotta be snow, because it's pretty chilly in there.
Alright, stop. Alright, pause. Cut that out. I'm gonna email my editor right now, and I'm gonna tell him to not put that in.
Alright, speaking of, I just got an email from...
that's weird. I need to check my inbox. Okay, so, you have Fruit Loops, you have Cocoa Puffs, you have...
Lucky Charms.
Fruity Pebbles, Tastios.
Tastios? What?
Tastios. Yeah, those are the generic brand that the family I live with.
Okay. The real question.
The Cheerios.
Did they take the cheer out of Cheerios, but just add taste?
Back in. No cheer, more taste. I think that's a pretty good value to base your marketing scheme off of. Less cheer, more taste.
What adds the hotness to this chili?
But wait, the hotness is it? Well, does a chili have to be hot? Because when I was talking with Jake, my first thing was, but Jake, doesn't chili have to be tomato-based? And then he said, well, have you ever heard of white chicken chili? And I said, yes, I very much have. That's a great form of chili. So we can't even decide what sort of sauce. I mean,
I've never seen chili be anything but hot though. I've never seen good chili be anything but hot. So
are you not a fan of change?
What? No, I ain't no...
against the idea of change as a whole?
Hey, I ain't no coward here, alright? I just want to know what cereal would bring the hot factor to this chili bowl we're making.
There is no kicks, but, so, another thing I thought of when I was pondering this question is the idea that milk is really just another form of, cow broth,
Yeah,
it's just more cow sauce.
Can I just say you said it's another form of cow broth? What's the primary form of cow broth?
Beef stock.
Cow broth, beef.
Cow broth, beef stock. Beef. Cows. Cow sauce is kind of it's a little more broad. We took a couple steps back. We're not in the species, we're in the genome, and
can we never discuss in detail what cow sauce is, please?
Cow sauce is what you put in your cereal, and that once again, it can be whatever you want, but it's just another kind of cow sauce.
Cow sauce and oat beans makes for good cold chili.
And exactly. And so in a literal way, milk and beef are really just both cow byproduct, and both, in this case, are needed for chili. I've also put milk in chili before.
That's true. I actually have done that too. I'm surprised to say that I'm not weirded out by the fact that you've done that. It's smart.
I like a creamy chili. And so when we create our new, instead of white chicken chili, it should just be white bread chili. How do you think about that? It's
I
white
think that
and there's bread
sounds
in it.
not good for 2019.
White bread
White
chili.
bread
oh
chili.
no, you're right. That's maybe. Do you have any? Okay, white.
Do you know how bad that the entire slogan would be? White bread chili, no cheer, all the taste.
Non-specific cow sauce and wheat germ chili.
And oat beans.
Give me a piece of that.
Featuring
Cut me a bowl of that.
Ludacris.
Yeah.
Ludacris will write a verse about all of your chili.
Cut me a piece of that chili. I mean, that sounds about right. I think
Cut me off a
are you a
slice.
yes, or can it be a chili? If you put a bunch of cereals together, fruit, chocolate, all kinds alike, together, will it make a chili of sorts?
I guess so. I guess we've
so,
covered
too.
that. That's pretty much all it takes is just an assortment.
That's pretty much it. All right, cool. I'm glad we got to this conclusion. We can finally do a yes and for something and not just hate each other, right, Zane?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tired of cutting out the 3.5 hours of recording that's just us yelling at each other, and when we really just are trying to make a family-friendly show. So, yeah, you got a question for us?
Yep.
I'm going to take a long drink of water first. I'm going to put my throat right near the microphone.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you do this and I can hear it on your end, I'm not cutting it. I hate that. I can hear it already, dude.
Thank you, my brother and me, for this idea. Okay, go ahead. You can do your your question now.
You know what
Gotta
sucks?
give credit where credit's due.
I already did a my brother rebit in the last Raimi Time episode. At the end, Casey accidentally mentioned Amelie, and I just went off and I just Amelie. Hello,
Nerds.
I'm on the
That's
Blu-ray.
okay.
All right.
We are who we are. Okay, your turn.
Yeah. Okay, this question comes from Reddit user Canon_W, and the question is, transporting a mannequin, and the context is, my wife and I flew up to her old home for a funeral, and she has some fashion-related stuff she left behind. Because I'm military, I get free checked bags through American Airlines, and I'm wondering how much I could get away with and how to transport a mannequin through checked luggage. Any suggestions?
I think if you just go with the "I fought for this country, this is my bag" sort of like technique, it might get you through no matter what. You walk up and they say, "Oh, hello, sir. Oh my goodness, is that a mannequin?" "Yes, I fought for this country. This is my mannequin. A bag. Check me in, please." And you hand it over. Did you know, Zane, that like the nice mannequins at like good clothing stores are like upwards of like $2,000-$3,000 just for the mannequin alone?
What?
Yeah, sometimes
Why?
more. Sometimes they can be like 10-15 grand at like the really nice places to make them like really lifelike. Yeah, I know. I was watching a video of Pete Davidson like getting fashion advice from the one guy from Queer Eye, and Pete Davidson just started like messing and almost knocked over a mannequin, and the dude was like, "Hey, that's like 10 grand."
Oh my
He
gosh.
knocked that over, and I was like, "There's no way. They have like 300 of them in their store." Yeah. So
Yeah.
mannequins actually are a bigger deal. It might seem like, oh, let me bring my 180-year-old briefcase that means nothing to me overseas just to have it again. But it's like, they're super expensive, it turns out.
I'm just realizing something that shouldn't have hit me just now. So we're talking mannequin. I'm assuming full-sized mannequin, not just like torso, not just head, like full all appendages, right?
I like to think it's probably like a ferret.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, like a mannequin of a ferret for their sort of fashion line.
What?
They never said human fashion, so that would make a lot more sense if that's what you're trying to get through.
I was definitely thinking person because
all right, we can just do that.
This
That's
is where
fine.
this is where
yeah,
my
don't
head.
Screw my idea, you know. Just go ahead.
Yeah, this is where my ideas go.
We can
And
do humans. That's
it's
original.
so good. It's so good to be back from that 3.5-hour fight that we just had and jumping back into context.
You know what? I'm over this. I'm gonna call you tomorrow. What day is it? It's Sunday.
Yeah.
Dang it! All right, I'm sitting back down.
Yeah, the place that this took in my head is, all right, you're choosing to check this guy through security. You've skipped the idea of just putting him in a bag that they put on the conveyor belt and immediately put on the plane without asking questions. You've decided I'm going to try and fit.
That's a bag, Zane.
I'm trying to fit a full human-sized person thing through an X-ray machine, and then
Zane, do they have bones?
Mannequins?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Does a mannequin have bones?
No, you're right. So since it doesn't have bones, they won't see it.
It'll just look like a ghost on the X-ray machine, I bet.
That's true. Yeah. Do you think one of the security guards is gonna be like a couple weeks ago he went to a fortune teller and the fortune teller's like, oh, you've got a spirit haunting you, and he's like, yeah right, and then he looks at the X-ray machine and he sees this outlandish figure that looks somewhat like a spirit, and he thinks, oh my god,
they were right.
I need to go back and pay him more money.
Yeah, I need to continue funding the fortune-telling business. Who knows why that still exists? Sorry for all our fortune teller listeners out there. I know you probably make an honest living.
It's okay, Will, because all the fortune teller listeners that we have out there knew this was coming.
They all knew that Zane and Will were just bigots against fortune tellers, and it would just come out one of these days. They couldn't hold it in forever. Yeah, we hate your guts, fortune tellers.
My bad.
Sorry. Anyways, yeah, that'd be a scary sight. What kind of bag? I mean, duffel bag, I guess. But was it every kid's dream to just like get inside a bag and be flown on a plane that way in order to get somewhere that you wanted to go that your parents told you no?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to do that forever.
I'm sure there's no conversation there, but
speaking of kid like things in airports here, I've just now come to the conclusion that if this mannequin is the size of a child, and we're talking that they can spend up to thousands and thousands to make them look so realistic, if she's good at her job, she could dress it up in Weekend at Bernie's this thing and just actually walk it through security, and then when they're like, hey, cool kid, what's your kid?
She's with me. Then you keep walking.
Yeah. What's your kid's name? And she'll very confidently say Manny, and then just throw him through the X-ray machine so that he barely gets scanned, but also ends up on the other side. Dad catches him perfectly. No loss. Nobody gets hurt. No harm. No foul.
Just lots of baggy clothing and sunglasses and no metal, so they don't have to take anything off.
Zero metal.
Smart. Zero metal. This is zero metal mannequin run. Okay.
Could you imagine if after all of this hard work they decided to put metal on it, like knowing that was gonna be that was gonna hurt them in the end? Of like, hey, your kid has a metal necklace on and has to go through this again. And you're just like, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry, it's a mannequin. I can't do this anymore.
Just take it now. Take me away. Put the shackles on. I'll go where I belong.
Goodbye, Manny.
I know who I am. Goodbye, Manny. See you when we're both dead. And yeah, that's gonna be a fun reunion in the afterlife. But
yeah, that was a good run through of the movie Ice Age. Goodbye, Manny.
Yeah. Goodbye, Manny. Would you like me to give a question now?
Yes, please.
I can do that. Sounds good. The other day, I was reading through a home and garden magazine when they mentioned a painting having the capability of being an alternative bathroom centerpiece. What were the original bathroom centerpieces, and how do I make mine good?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's my bathroom blunder, boy. Thank you.
Do you know how disheartening it must be to come second place in possibly being hung in the bathroom? To be like, you made something so great, and they're like, oh, we'll consider it.
Yeah, we made an article about our second string quarterback. Yeah, no, but alternative bathroom centerpiece. What is the centerpiece of the bathroom? Don't tell me it's the turlet.
No,
don't do that.
No. So every bathroom, every good quality big boy bathroom has got a couple of things. It's got a toilet, it's got a sink, and it's got a bath and shower, possibly combined, possibly separate. What I think is the center of a bathroom, any bathroom I walk in that's got one of these, is a bidet. If your bathroom
have you used one?
Yes.
Ever?
Yes.
Really?
When I was in Italy, our B&B had a bidet, and I kept calling it the ground sink, and it literally just looks like a toilet, but also a sink, and it's just a little lower to the ground than the sink, than the toilet. And then also when we were there was like the thing that's usually on the back of the toilet, like the big tank.
Yeah.
That was on the ceiling.
No joke, really?
Yeah, so the toilet was on the ground. So if it
busted, you just get a head full of dookie.
Oh yeah, so like we had this whole system set up. So the centerpiece was really the bidet, because it was like the most, I don't know, it was like if you walked in to a room full of garbage, and then there's a bunny rabbit standing in the middle of all of it, and you're just like,
that's such a good analogy.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Holy bunny in a garbage pile, Zane. That was an analogy of a lifetime.
Just imagine
the recording. It isn't going to get better than that.
Close your eyes for like 3 seconds, because this will be very easy to visualize. Imagine a bunny, but imagine it in a pile of garbage real quick. Now, just try and think, what's the centerpiece? It's probably the bunny, right? Because it's not a piece of garbage. The bidet is a bunny, and the rest of your bathroom is garbage.
Joe wrapper you didn't see that. There's a collectible Bazooka Joe wrapper just hanging out in the pile off to the left, and if you didn't see it, you would have gotten the answer wrong.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right. It's the bunny. And so you're saying whatever is the thing that catches your eye or is adorable, in this case the bidet, just like the bunny.
Bedorable.
Bidetable. And so
it's so bidetable. You walk into your bathroom, who's this little guy?
It's bidetable.
You've got a cage around your bidet.
Let it out for a little while. Give it some air.
It's just gonna spray water up your butt. That's really all it does.
Just drank some coffee earlier. Time to give this boy some food. Anyways,
it just sprays water in your butt. I don't know what you do to this bidet.
So if you make the water spray, this is something I've just personally wondered. It's not like a real thing. If you make the water spray and your butt ain't there, does it just go flying all over the floor?
It goes. It's horizontal. It's like it's parallel to the floor, so it would go straight. It's like it. How are you?
Don't use hand motions. This is an audio format.
How do you think that it works if it doesn't go horizontal? Like, do you have to just like?
I imagine a water fountain-esque sort of setup where
how
it
aggressive? Hear me out. How aggressive do you think a bidet acts?
Aggressive enough to get it out.
Yeah. How aggressive do you think a waterfall would be? It's like
waterfall.
It's like, do you remember like the things in pools where you pull and soak up all the water in the super soaker thing, and then you push the back end of it and you spray it in someone's face? That's what bidet is like, dude. Bidet's...
Yeah, so if you did that straight up, it would go all over the place.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's no angle to it. It just goes straight up.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no, not straight up. I said it's parallel to the floor. Yeah. So yeah, parallel to the floor.
If you weren't there, would it go all over the floor?
It would go like directly forward and then fall onto the floor. Yes.
So yes, it would go all over the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, that was all I was asking. Sometimes we do not communicate well in this audio format. That's okay.
It depends. Depends how long the day has been.
How long the bidet has been.
Yeah.
And so hear me out. I think you're right in that whatever is the coolest, most eye-drawing thing is the centerpiece of your bathroom, as is any centerpiece for anything. But even if it's a crappy little mirror, I think that is the centerpiece because I am always going to go to that mirror. Maybe it's because I'm vain. Maybe it's because I need to make sure I don't look as fat as I had imagined myself 30 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I always go to that, and that is my gateway into the realm of mirrors where I can see it.
The mirror realm.
Well, you know what I'm saying, though, right? Like, you look into it, and it's like, this ain't my world sort of thing. This is just an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I always go to mirrors, because I'm still a small I'm still a young dog trying to figure out whether it's actually me and my reflection or not.
I think
that made sense.
I think if you don't put a goddamn ribbon on your bidet, then you don't deserve to have one.
Now, what are you talking about?
I think you just need to put a ribbon on your bidet, otherwise you're not treating it like it deserves.
Oh, like a collar, like a ribbon.
No,
like
ribbon, not a collar. I'm not dominant around my bidet. I'm not gonna. I trust it. I don't expect it'll run. I don't think my bidet will run away. I just think it deserves to look nice.
I'm not saying you got to put a leash. I'm just saying put a collar on it.
Imagine if you had to put a leash on. What if we? All right, I'm gonna say it. What if we had to put leashes on toilets?
Bidets.
What if we had to put? What if we had to leash up toilets? Like, what if we had to worry about our toilets running away?
Oh my. Okay, yeah, I know. This is our new scheme. We make just like bidets on wheels that you just plug in a garden hose to. Or like a pressure washer. How does that sound? That'll get it out. That'll get all your dookie out. Pressure washer up in the bidet.
Here's a fun prank for all you cool kids out there. The next time you go over to your friend's house and you know he's got a bidet in his bathroom, replace whatever water pipe it's set up to with a fire hose from a fire engine.
Yeah. For extreme clean. Yeah, I like that.
Extreme.
There's no E's. It's just extreme.
Extreme. Oh,
extreme clean.
Extreme. Extreme.
Extreme
Max
clean.
Extreme.
Absolutely. Love that.
Oh my God.
We have such good jokes this episode. Goodness gracious. All right.
That felt
want
good.
It to be your turn.
Okay. April Fools, I'm going to do your part this time. All right.
Check us out, everybody,
on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube. We love to hear you guys listen to our words. We love to hear from you guys because all our questions come from you guys. If you rate and review us on iTunes, it helps us get more famous around the world. Honestly, though, the only way that podcasts really grow is through word of mouth, and we love doing this every day and every week because it not only helps us stay in touch and everything, and even if we're busy or not, we still keep doing this because we love it, and the fact that you guys are a part of it just helps it go just so much farther than we ever could have anticipated. And if you guys want to be a part of it, will now do the part that I usually do and tell you about that.
This is freaky. It's been 3.5 months of the same crap, and here I am doing Zane's part. Okay, if you want to email us your questions, we would love that. You can email that to us at saveyourbaconpodcast@gmail.com. That is saveyourbaconpodcast@gmail.com. Did I do that right, Zane? I think it sounded like you. The way I did it is the same inflection. Also, our Twitter and Instagram handles are the same. They are just Zane and Will. That is the handle at Zane and Will at both Instagram and Twitter, where you can follow us, get updates from us, see when our episodes come out, even though they come out every single Monday morning at 6 a.m. on the dot. So that shouldn't be something you have to worry about. But that way you can also send us your questions to those mediums if that's what you prefer. And speaking of sending in your questions, we just want to sort of make some repetition off the idea that we need you guys to send in questions for this show to exist. It doesn't really function without the questions and the interactivity that you guys give us through sending in your questions and asking for advice. So, as always, we just hugely appreciate what we've been given so far with the audience and the feedback that we've been given, and just look forward to keeping that happen. So keep on sending any questions. You can also use hashtags of Save Your Bacon or hashtag Zane and Will, and we check those regularly so we can find your questions quicker and easier that way as well. Go ahead, Zane. I want you to give me a question now.
All right, this is a great question, and by a great question, I mean it's not really advice, but I want us to give this person advice because they clearly need help. All right, this question comes from Patrick Stans, and the question is, does anybody else hate putting socks back on after you've taken them off after wearing them all day?
You're right. This person needs help. My boy. I need to introduce you to my good friend, Mr. Washer and Dryer. Because you should... Zane, do you ever use socks twice?
Never, because I would completely...
Well, that's weird, because I do.
I would completely... What?
I have been known at times to wear my socks more than once when it is for a good cause or I'm going to the gym. Those are my exceptions because those are like gym and whatever.
Interjection. Why isn't going to the gym a good cause?
They were separate thoughts. They're not mutually exclusive. Going to the gym is an okay cause. You got me there.
But all right. I get. It's been a long day and whatnot, and sure, your socks feel super uncomfortable. A biggest thing that's most annoying thing in the world is if it rains and your shoes get super wet, and then you can feel it in your socks and whatnot. You take off your shoes and then your socks are super wet, and you're like, this is the worst feeling. So you take them off, and then done. You wouldn't put those back on. You might get a dry pair of socks or keep them on until you don't need to wear socks anymore for the day. What is the situation during the day for you? Just so I know, where you take your socks off and have to put on the same pair of socks again.
Yeah, it's more of a critical way of thinking, just like an ideological problem I think that this person faces, of the idea that they think that their only option is to put them on today. Like, what do I do about the fact that I have to put on my socks at the end of the day?
I do like that.
They might be a sock sleeper, which is another alarming
sleepsocker.
A sleepsocker.
They might sleepsock.
Yeah, sleepsocker. And so I'm glad you brought up this this question for me, Zane, so we can give this poor man advice. Because if we have any other listeners out there who wear socks to sleep, there are so many studies to say how gross of a human you are. I don't really know if it's actually bad for you, but you gross. I've heard that it cuts off circulation.
It's gross to sleep sock, or it's gross to wear socks?
Sock sleep. And so
don't be ridiculous. Sock sleep isn't a thing.
Sleep sock. And so
God.
Repulsive. And so no, I've never worn socks to sleep. I have, if you really are looking for another alternative and your socks have gotten wet from the rain, you could just leave them out all night. I've done that accidentally. I've come home and been like, well, I don't want to walk inside with my wet socks, so I took them out and put them on the deck, and they sat out in the rain all night long. I came out the next day. They smelled like fresh rain, and I wore them after they dried.
Can I ask a real question? Why? What situation there led to... Like, the only thing that's running through my head is you own one pair of sock, and now you've left it out in the rain, and it's still wet, and you said, well, since I don't have any other, even if they're dirty, dry pairs of socks, I'm gonna wear these wet ones.
Yeah, and you can assume that they're probably okay if they're willing to get themselves on Reddit and type in questions and wait for answers. Like, they probably have, like, the means to buy more than one pair of socks.
I do like something...
Or otherwise they've just prioritized computers. They've spent all their money on computers and internet, which is what brought them to Reddit asking the question, I need socks. I have 2 socks. How do I continue wearing my 2 socks?
I do like something that you brought up earlier of maybe they just have always lived in this world. I like thinking that this person's like mid-20s and they've consistently just done this every day, where they think that halfway through the day they're supposed to take them off and then put them back on. And they're just now, like, finding this Reddit, and they're just like, guys, don't you hate it that we all have to do this?
Is this the worst? We all face this problem collectively?
I know I'm not alone. So does it bother anyone else that that it's mandatory that the government is watching over us, making sure that we do this every day?
Yeah. I mean... That's like one of those sick jokes I think that I would love to pull on my kid because it's mildly harmless. Maybe the sock one might lead to him being ostracized too hard, but I think I've probably said it here before. My kids will be taught red is blue and blue is red, just to see them cry and scream about their reality being shattered, to teach them about life. Go ahead.
I just remembered there was something I was thinking this morning of. So if you pretend to have a British accent, like a nice fluent British accent, and your kid grows up in America around you, they'll probably adopt some kind of that British accent, right? Because they're around you so often that's what they hear. That's what they get used to. If you have a really bad fake British accent, like they'll adopt that. Like, so you could just do whatever you wanted and they'd kind of adopt that, and you make them sound really off. I thought...
Just like if you had really bad foot habits, then your kid would also have bad foot habits and think it's very normal.
Exactly. Like father, like son, sleep soccer. No, I'm not a mocker. Now,
Sleep soccer, I ain't no mocker.
I ain't no mocker. If there's one thing in this world that I ain't, it's a mocker.
Is a mocker.
Or moccasins. That's another foot joke.
Oh, it's a foot joke.
Now
that one took me a little while. We're getting smarter with our jokes, so I just had to take a minute. Go ahead,
for anybody that's wondering, and I've been thinking this for a while, this is just an inner cut. I find this hilarious. We're recording this at about 12:20 a.m. my time, the day that it's going up.
So it literally is April Fool's.
Yeah.
I thought about that as you were giving your announcements.
And B, I'm laughing at the fact that I already know that for this episode, I'm going to very cleanly not edit it and let it go up as it is as a whole and see how it runs.
What are you talking about? You don't want to edit?
No, I want to see how it goes. I just want to not edit anything out and see how it goes.
Okay. Sounds fine.
What was I going to... Oh, if I looked at my kid and taught him proper English, but every time I said anything that started with like it's supposed to be sound or something like that, if I said it like sound, if I just said it...
That's like years of training to like force yourself to remember to do that, though. So it's high dedication to embarrass your kid.
Right? Like, yeah, I want to be like, don't just dive into the pool because you might hit your head and drown. When you're jumping, you want to make sure that your feet both land back on the ground. Like, just...
Oh my gosh. We have to leave this space. We have to leave this land, Zane. Get me away from... I wanted to make another joke just like it. I couldn't get myself to do it.
I know. It does sound like its own little thing.
We all heard the hesitation in my voice, but I'm glad I didn't do it. I'm gonna if I didn't, it'd be like 30 years from now. Somebody'd be like, "Happy 55th birthday, Uncle Bill," and they'd play a sound bite of me going sound. And, oh, there it is. So, anyways, I hope that helps.
It helped me in the long run.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Podcast question. A friend told me that the phrase knock on wood and then knocking on a piece of wood is more effective if you knock on a tree. So is knocking on the original wood source, a tree, or whatever is closest, even if it's engineered wood or particle board, more effective? I don't consider myself superstitious, but I'm curious. That was from returning question asker Jane Austen. I would be good friends.
So are we just off the bat in agreement that when they say knocking on a tree helps, that all wood is not a tree?
Is all wood tree? No, I think it's
is
like
any
closer...
wood not a tree?
Is any wood not tree? Good question, Zane. I'm glad you brought it up. I'll take out my notes. I'll get out my briefcase. My sourcing says no. But I think the question is like if we go back to its roots, if we get further and further back to the origin story of the wood, if it's old wood, if we walk into the oldest home that America gives us, which is not very old, then if we knock on that wood, is it very, very little help that it's giving us? Is there very little luck left in the wood?
No, it's the other way.
More lucky.
It's the other way around, for sure. The older the wood, the more luck.
The older the wood, the more luck?
Yeah, because...
How do you figure?
Because it's wiser, for sure.
Oh, the wood is wiser?
Yeah, it's wiser wood. It's wise wood. And then also, the rings inside have to do with... so when you knock on the wood, essentially what you're doing is you're sending the bad luck within vibration form to another source. And if you knock on the wood and it vibrates and it passes through, it just comes out and it's just lesser. It's just lesser. But the more rings there are, the more it divides the vibrations. So when you knock on a tree that has 100 rings, it's going to be divided 100 times until it gets to the center. And then it's so minuscule that it either will evaporate within the center of the tree or it'll come out. And the worst luck that you'll have is maybe you'll sneeze the next day. Like, is that...
Sure.
It's that simple. Did you not know this already?
Well, my yes and senses are tingling, but I'm going to say that new wood is more lucky.
Why?
Now, why could you say that? Well, okay, so if it's more recently given the luck of life, I think life is lucky, is what I'm saying here. The origin story of wood as a whole and trees that give us our breath and air. Thank you, trees.
Thank you, trees.
If it has been a more recent endeavor, then I think that's more luck to us, because I think we're pretty lucky to have trees. Am I right? Am I right? I'll wait for an applause. And so,
Amen.
anyways, amen. Can I get in hallelujah? I think that wise wood is a good idea, but Mother Earth is just like dropping its dandruff in the form of trees. You know what I'm saying? And so the dandruff when it's all dead and turned into tables and cabinets and futons. You know, like it's old dandruff that might as well just get thrown back into the earth and restart the cycle again.
Okay.
Just like we breathe in our dandruff in the form of dust again, and then we turn that into, I don't know, maybe more skin cells eventually. This is getting a little graphic, but I think that the new wood is a more recent reminder of the luck of life that we have, and that is why it will most likely give us what we need.
So you think that since new wood is representative of new life, it's also representative of being reborn?
How lucky we are to be alive, don't forget that.
Okay, how lucky we are to be alive.
Okay, now say it a little more enthusiastically.
I'm not gonna lie. All right, how lucky we are to be alive. Part of me in my head doesn't remember anything that you just said, but the phrase "how lucky we are to be alive," and now I don't remember why I'm saying it. Okay. I'm very gone.
It was. You can listen to it later. It was a really good moment there.
The thing that I'm wondering now is, when somebody knocks on wood, they're doing it right to get rid of the bad luck, right? They don't want that thing to come back and bite them.
Are they expelling the bad luck from the tree? Are they just like, what is in my surroundings? Does this wood need expelling of ghosts and spirits? Is that what they're asking?
Is knocking on the wood like a physical way of saying bless you to a tree?
Yeah, it's like shaking out a carpet of all the dust and badness. You know, it's like, oh, this wood might be dirty.
What if you're saying, I'll never knock on wood, and then you knock on wood? How you feel about yourself?
That's like this sentence is false or something like that, you know.
Except it has a finite answer, because you've said you'll never knock on wood, and then you knock on wood, and then that sucks.
Just wrong.
Yeah.
So you're just wrong.
If you don't knock on the wood, if you say I'll never knock on wood, then I don't know where that leaves you anymore.
I always thought somebody else was supposed to knock on wood for you. If you're having a conversation with yourself and you say, knock on wood, you're pretty much just putting up your hand to be high-fived and sitting with nobody else there. I feel like it's sort of a reciprocal thing.
Nah, it's supposed to be the person that says it knocks on wood, because why does a person that's hearing it care, you know? Like, if I say, oh, I'm going to get this job, knock on wood, why would you care, right?
Maybe we found the cultural differences between Minnesota and Boston.
I mean, what? Let's say you're having a rough day and you don't want me to get the job. Then you just don't knock on wood, and I put all of that into your hands. Why would I give you that power?
You're right. It's asking too much.
It's
asking for another person to do part of a job that you already, you began, and then you're saying, please finish this for me, and that's not fair.
I just thought of the most miraculous little thing that could happen one day. Someone says, I hope I never bring severe trauma to Mother Earth, knock on wood. And you knock on a tree twice, and your second knock is so powerful that you knock over the tree, and then the tree starts toppling all the other trees like dominoes. What do you think that starts to play around in your head? Like, oh, I knocked on wood, and because I knocked on wood, I have now brought devastating problems to this forest.
I have destroyed the ecosystem of my local wildlife, of my forest preserve in town here. Yeah, okay. So you say knock on wood, knock on tree, forest falls down.
Yeah.
Forest gone. You were to blame. You were having the conversation with a park ranger, and they're very disgruntled. Did you or did you not gain the luck from knocking on wood?
That's the hardest thing to figure. So are we saying
Is it like a?
They
is
run
it just
out
the way
there?
You see it? Is it a perspective thing?
Like now the forest, the park rangers run out there to see what happened, and they run out there like Skyrim guards, and they just say, "What's going on here?" And they look around, and you've got 100 level stealth, and they can't see you right in front of them, and then they're just like, "Must have been the wind," and they go back. They go back. So you gained the luck of not taking the blame for everything that just happened.
Sure. You gain invisibility in a sense. No, I think that maybe in a realistic way, this is a call to positivity, because I think you could say knock on wood, knock on the nearest tree, and then the forest falls. But maybe that forest falling saved you from getting in your car and then running over like a possum on the way home and being sad about that.
Oh no.
So maybe it's like it saved you from that. I've hit a possum once, and it ruined my drive. I'm sure it did a worse number on the possum's day, but it ruined my drive.
Can I just say I'm very glad you didn't say, and boy, did that really just like perk my day up for me. Like that really put the boost in the pep in my step for that day. Let me tell you. Question.
What gets me out of bed is the idea of hitting a possum with my Explorer. Yeah, no.
Is there any?
Go ahead. What's your question?
Is there any situation in which once knock on wood has run its course, like maybe the tree falling over is its way of telling you, all right, you've used up all of the luck that the wood's gonna give you, so you're gonna need to use something else. Then you hit the possum on the way home, and you say, I hope that never happens again. Now you knock on possum.
Knock on possum.
So now you have to keep. Now you take this possum, and now every time you want luck, you have to knock on it twice. People have no idea why you're doing this. Like you're going in like for a job interview, and you pull out. So you're sitting in a waiting room.
You ran over lucky possum foot. Yeah.
You're sitting in a waiting room for your job, right? There are a couple other people. They look all professional, like they've got their resumes ready. And they're like, the guy comes on. He's like, "Will?" And you're like, "Oh, this is my time to shine. All right, I'm coming. Right? Yeah, that's me." And then you slide this dead possum in a cage out from underneath your chair, and you open the lid, and you just knock on it twice, and everyone around you is like, "What am I missing in this job interview? What did I not bring to the table?" And you walk in there, and then you walk out, and you say, "Let's hope I get this," and then you just slam on the cage 2 more times.
Did I get the job? Tell me, Larry, did I get the job? Knock, knock on the dead body. Yeah, knock on possum, folks. Okay, cool. Zane, give us one more question.
All right, you got it, Chief. Now
do it faster, without show tunes.
Oh boy. Okay. Here's a good question. This question
plus speed minus show tunes.
This question comes from Reddit user I let my fish die, and the question is,
oh man, if this is relevant.
Is it possible to swallow air?
Oh no, wait. Now what? I really thought it was going to have to do with losing the goldfish, so I got swerved super hard right there.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Well, I think that the idea is maybe that the person swallowed the goldfish, and that the goldfish then was stronger than the man, or whoever. It doesn't have to be a man, But this person ate the goldfish, but the goldfish was stronger and overtook the body, kind of like Attack on Titan sort of way,
yeah.
or like what's the movie with the big old robots and the two guys on
Pacific
the inside?
Rim.
Ah, that's the one. And so goldfish is Pacific Rimming this human, most likely, in a way, and now they're asking, can I swallow air, or do I still have to go underwater?
Oh,
that's what I was thinking.
So you're saying like, all right, they said by like who is this username, and it's like, well, it's definitely by a guy that let his fish die, but since I'm that person now, I let my fish die.
And that's why they put their username as "Oops, I killed my fish" to try to like convince
throw
everyone
us
that
off
they're
the
a
scent.
real boy. Yeah.
But
Yes,
we
exactly.
caught on to there's something fishy going on here. And
I'm really glad we got this question. I think we pretty much solved it right there. Let's just call it quits.
So there's a fish. So the fish is now asking in a human body, "Hey, now that I'm people, can I just swallow air and be good?"
Can I just swallow air and that's good?
Well, now
that
begs the
what
question.
I needed to do?
Beforehand, was he swallowing or breathing water?
Was he? If you have gills, do you swallow or do you breathe water? Now, that is a thinker.
Is there a difference between swallowing and breathing water?
Is there a difference between swallowing and breathing air?
Yes.
I think so. Because we got two different ways the air go or the air don't go. There's one way the air go. There's one way the food go. I think if we swallow air, all of a sudden our tummies are full of air.
Yeah.
Right?
We get a whole airful, yeah.
Well, you start burping or like hiccuping.
Yeah.
That's what happens with me and pop. Every time I drink pop, every single dang time I drink pop,
absolutely,
from a can, I have to just like halfway through my first sip, and it's the most horrifying thing. And people look at me like I just swallowed a goldfish.
Maybe. Now we get all the context. Now it just wraps back into itself. That all makes sense, actually.
So we should end it before we lose our idea.
Just gonna tell you real quick, goldfish. You're good to swallow air as much as you want now. Also, this is the first comment that I saw on here. You dare doubt people you don't know Reddit? I get it. It sounds like bullshit. That's the first comment on this.
What?
On this question. And the reason.
I'm just looking so hard for the relativity here.
The reason I mention this is because now I like to think that this commenter knows that this is also a fish in a person's body and is thinking like, yeah, okay, you think you know how Reddit people work. Sure. But you're a fish, and I call bullshit. I think you're just a fish that wants to know if he gonna die now that he doesn't have head in water bowl anymore.
It sounds weird every time you say fish instead of goldfish, because I never really considered goldfish fish, and then you said fish, and I thought you just said, like, gold or something.
You didn't think goldfish were fish?
That was a lot of words. Well, I just, like, it's always just so easy to say goldfish, and when you were like, oh, it's a fish, I'm like, that ain't it.
All right. Well, he did say I let my fish die, not I let my goldfish die. That'd be a whole nother scenario.
You're so right. I ate my tuna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a whole...
I ate my halibut.
I never think... If you give it a name like that, I don't think it's a fish anymore.
You're right. I let my trout die.
I let my trout down.
Yeah, I let my trout
die. Sorry. I let my trout die.
Can you... Okay, if you took a goldfish and you turned on the bidet and just put water into its mouth from bidet, how long could it survive? How long would it live?
Oh my god!
I need these answers. Okay, I think that is what. Go ahead.
Wait, so in this situation, are we like? That's the same as like saying if someone put on like a giant fan and started blasting air into our mouths. How long could we survive?
No. I'm saying if we were underwater and somebody put a big oxygen fan down there and just started blasting that in our faces, I think we'd do okay.
I think we'd
have to
do
sit
okay.
there.
There's a scenario now that I'm thinking of, though. Are we saying that this is the fish in human body form now spraying bidet and thinking that's how he must survive day to day? Or sorry, bidet to bidet.
Bidet to bidet. I hate us. Yeah, just use your bidet. Use your human bidet that you probably your human tried to flush you down at one point, felt bad, and then sucked you right up his gullet. Yeah. So hey guys,
you tried to flush him down a bidet?
Yeah. Does that not work?
No.
Why? Is it different?
There
Okay,
is
I
no
don't care.
flushing of a bidet.
What do you mean there's no flushing of a bidet?
There's literally just a sink. It's like a sink. It's just got sink. It's got sink knob. It's got one knob, and that is sink knob. There is no flush.
No.
Yes, it's literally like a sink.
I'm truly hurt by this.
But it's the shape of toilet.
Shape of toilet.
You ever see that Guillermo del Toro movie, Shape of Toilet? It's a whole
you ever
movie.
Hear that one
It's
based
a whole
on, like,
It's oh my
folklore?
god! It's a whole movie about a
Shape of
fish
Toilet.
person. It's a whole movie about a fish person. Shape of Toilet.
Man, the tie-ins never end. Did you ever see that Japanese like folklore movie? And it was called Shape of Toilet, Mouth of Sink. Just wondering. Anyways, guys, this is the end of our show, where we want to say a big thank you to our listeners and followers once again for making this podcast possible. Thanks to our question askers for our awesome questions. So glad we could help you all. And so, this is my time where I say this has been Save Your Bacon. My name is Will.
My name is Zane.
He's lying down. And guys, remember, take it easy, and if it's easy, take it twice.